Alright, welcome back to Flight Sim 2024 and welcome back to the Black Square Cessna 208 Bravo Caravan. And in today's video, it is a beautiful afternoon. We're parked on the apron here, dirt apron I suppose, at Dar in South Africa, and we are taking an FSEconomy flight from here down to Saldanha. So we're looking at about 2 hours 40 minutes worth of flight time, taking a little bit of cargo to Saldanha in the Western Cape, which is kind of just north of Cape Town. And yeah, weather not an issue here at all. We might run into a couple of storms and some rain along the way, but other than that, everything looks good. Maybe let's just go around and remove these while we are here. Yes, back in the Black Square Caravan, a little bit dirty from our previous flight where we landed here on Dar's dirt strip. Okay, that all looks good. So I am going to be using, well, Active Sky is doing the weather already. I'm going to be using Beyond ATC for traffic and virtual air traffic control, and Chase Plane to do our views, and of course FSEconomy created the job. Right, so we're on board. We'll start getting things set up and on our way. Okay, so first things first, let's close this door. Get rid of the control locks, and we'll just get these out of the way so we can see. Sync this up with my hardware. Right. Let's get the battery on. Come up here and get those on so we get rid of that noise. And let's get the avionics on. And we can come down here, wait for this to power up, and we can just input the route for today, which is actually a very simple one. Right, there are, and then we only have one waypoint, so we go direct
TOS system test
to
OK.
Zolva, like so, and then direct to Saldanha. Easy. Okay, I'm just reading that from the SimBrief flight plan, which I have here in front of me on my phone. Okay, cruise altitude today, let's have a look. So, zero fuel weight of 3 tons. Expecting to land at 3.3 tons. And flight time of 2.5 hours. Right, our alternate is Cape Town International, which makes perfect sense. We're expecting here to depart runway 02. That doesn't seem right. Okay, we'll see what Beyond ATC gives us. But our cruise today is flight level 080. Okay, so that's done. Let's get this on standby. They'll give us a squawk shortly. So I guess we can do nav lights, beacon lights. The rest of that can stay. Let's get the inertial separator on. I'm expecting it's going to be pretty hot inside the cabin at the moment. Yeah, 32 degrees. So let's get fired up as soon as possible so we can get some air in here. Right, so we'll set this to normal. Normal, that's cool. Those are set. We are clear. So let's do start. Right. NG's coming up. We'll go low idle. Okay, starter can come off. Let's get the generator on. Probably shouldn't have started it in reverse, but that's okay. We'll bring the prop up. Right, then it'll be Johannesburg Center, which is 118.5. Johannesburg Center, good afternoon. Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, Cessna 208 on the ramp at Dar, Foxtrot Alpha Delta Alpha. Looking for IFR clearance to Saldanha, Foxtrot Alpha Sierra Delta. Ready to copy. Okay, let's get some air in here.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, Johannesburg Control West, expect runway 03.
Oh, it is 03.
075 on runway centerline, then expect radar vector Salva. Squawk 1416.
Okay, expect runway 03. Initial climb flight level 075. Radar vectors to Zalva and squawk 1416. Delta Romeo Bravo. Okay, so the aircon is only going to kick in when we bring the power up a bit.
Delta Romeo Bravo, read back correct. Start or taxi at pilot's discretion. Hold for release. Report holding short runway 03.
Report holding short runway 03, Delta Romeo Bravo. Okay, I still need to get my head around this. So we've got no cold air coming in the front. The AC is pumping from the back. These are all heating. Okay, I mean, it is working. Obviously, when we run the engine a bit higher, it'll work better. Okay, we need to get to runway 03. Okay, so runway 03 it'll be this way, so it's the end over there. So we'll just taxi down the runway. That's actually really simple. Right, so the last thing I need to sort out, let's just get rid of this, is let's get taxi and recognition lights on. Inertial separator is on, that's all good. I did start the FSEconomy flight, so that's happening already. Alright, I'm gonna have to bring the engines back, or engine back. Let's release the parking brake, and we're gonna taxi out this way. Yeah, why is that happening? Rudders are not responding. My rudder is appearing to be bound to something else. Let me go and sort that out. Okay, I just had something on my HOTAS bound to the rudders. That is now fixed. Right, let's get out of here. Okay, flaps I've got set to position 1 for takeoff. This isn't a particularly short runway, so I think that will be fine. Normally now we would communicate on this airport's frequency for like uncontrolled broadcasts. That's not simulated, and there's no other aircraft here, so we will just stay on Joburg Center and let them know when we are ready. Okay, let's do landing lights and strobe lights on. Can pop this on, pop that on, and we can level this out as well. Okay, cabin temperature is still very hot, but that will improve now once we take off. Right, let's sync up the heading bug. I actually forget how tight the Caravan can turn. Center Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, ready for departure, runway 03.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, released for departure. Clearance void if not off by 11:20 Zulu. If not off by 11:20 Zulu, contact no later than 11:30 Zulu. Time now 10:58 Zulu. Frequency change approved.
For departure, runway 03, Delta Romeo Bravo. Okay, so engaging that actually does do the autopilot, which is interesting. Okay, flaps are set. That's good. That's good. Let's go. Okay, there's the RPM. Keep an eye on the ITT and the torque. Torque is set for takeoff. Here we go. Nice and bumpy. Knots. Let's get the flaps up and we'll pick up a bit of speed. Let's get the autopilot on, heading mode, and they cleared us to 075 for some reason. I don't know, this system still doesn't make sense to me. So that's what I want, vertical speed. There we go. Center, Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, passing 5,000 feet, climbing flight level 075. Beautiful area.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, Johannesburg Control West, identified. Continue climb to flight level 075.
Continue climb to flight level 075, Delta Romeo Bravo.
Negative. Continue climb to flight level 075.
Flight level 075, Delta Romeo Bravo. Okay, we need a vector to the left shortly. ITT is pretty high. Let's ditch the inertial separator and keep it on about that, what is that, 780 on the ITT. We desperately need a left-hand turn here. Delta Romeo Bravo requesting direct Zelver, please.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, Salva is your current waypoint. Continue direct Salva.
Direct Zelver, Delta Romeo Bravo. Okay, obviously I don't have to read that back.
Direct Salva. Link 652 Sierra, turn right, heading 050. Turn right, heading 050, link 652 Sierra.
Actually, let's just do this. We'll just go direct from here, and GPS, that's on GPS, so we're good. Delta Romeo Bravo, request flight level 080, please. Affirmative, Delta Romeo Bravo.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, roger. Climb to flight level 080.
On to flight level 080, Delta Romeo Bravo. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Up to our final cruise altitude.
Contact Cape Town Control East.
Some airliners around, Safe and Airlink.
Center on 124.
Probably going into Cape Town.
Have a good day.
Okay, there are a couple of storms along our route. So actually, if I just bring this across, so we just departed there nice and clear, but we've got to go through this band here. So that's Victoria West, and then after that it's pretty clear all the way down to Saldanha, which is here. So shouldn't be too much of an issue. We've just got to make it through that one section, I suppose. Right, there we are, level at flight level 080. Sort out the rudder trim, and then we will settle in to cruise along for quite a while. Okay, there we go. Landing lights and strobes we can turn off, and the taxi lights as well. Why did I do strobes? I meant taxi lights. I meant to say strobes stay on. On my HOTAS, the strobe and taxi light switches are next to each other, so I should have left that one and just turned off taxi lights. Okay. All good. Let's go in here and change some of these places. Change some of this information. So change user fields, and up here I like to have ETA to destination. No. Estimated time en route. ETE to destination. There we go. So just over 2 hours 20 minutes down to Saldanha. So we're going to settle in for the next just over 2 hours worth of cruising. Make sure we get through those storms in one piece. And I will check in with you later as we prep for our arrival into Saldanha. Alright, welcome back, and it's a beautiful late afternoon. No clouds whatsoever. If we look at the weather for Saldanha Bay, we are looking at 28 degrees, nice and warm. Winds 225 at night, so a bit of wind. QNH 1012, and no clouds reported at all. So we're cruising along nicely at our 8,000 feet or flight level 080. Plenty of fuel on board, and everything's in the green, nothing to worry about. So I'm just happily cruising along. Let's go and have a look. So wind 225. Looks like we don't have any charts at all. So we've got wind, we've got runway 2002. So we're taking runway 20. That'll work nicely. And then I guess we're not going to have any approaches. So we will just get evected in for the visual, which will be perfect because it's such a nice, clear afternoon. Okay, I do need to just adjust that cabin temp. It's quite low now, so let's get the air conditioning off, I suppose. And we can just open this up and see what that's doing. Okay, so it's a bit cool in here, so we'll get the bleed heat on, and then that can warm up our cabin temperature to that target of 23 degrees. Right, otherwise really it's a very chilled afternoon in the Caravan.
Radar vectors, ILS runway 29er. Report ready for descent. Radar vectors, ILS runway 29er, ready for descent.
Runway 29, I wonder where that is.
Link 635 Lima, George Airport, landing runway 29er. George Airport, landing runway 29er, link 635 Lima.
Alright, so 17 and a half minutes out. So let's have a look. The airport elevation is 50 feet. So we're going to look to descend to about 1,500 for our circuit height. So runway 20 then is going to be this way. Now that doesn't seem to be matching what I'm seeing here. Okay, that line is completely the wrong way. So 02 is there, so we need to come in this side. Yeah, I was wondering because I saw that line, I was like, there's no ways that lines up, but that does make sense, so that's cool. So then I think what I can do is on here, let's put in 1,500. And now we'll get a top of descent. Giving us 02. Delta Romeo Bravo, would it be possible to change to runway 20? Seems not.
Verify ready for descent.
Radar vectors, runway 02, and we will let you know when we're ready for descent. Delta Romeo Bravo. That's kind of weird.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, Saldanha Vredenburg landing, runway 02.
Saldanha Vredenburg, landing runway 02.
Why is it auto responding?
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo.
Oh, that's on. That's interesting. Why didn't it auto respond the first time then?
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, expect the visual approach runway 02.
Expect the visual approach to runway 02, Delta Romeo Bravo. Delta Romeo Bravo would like to request a runway change to runway 20, please. Why can't you do that? It seems so simple. Okay, I don't know about landing on runway 02. like to do this towards the end of the day. I mean, we shouldn't have any issues today with clouds, but just in case you end up and it's very dark, just to make sure that we don't have to worry about that once it's too late, or once it's going to be distracting or difficult to set the lights. So when the sun starts setting, I like to turn up the instrument lights so that regardless of what happens, I'll be able to see my instruments. Especially at this time of the day, if you fly into clouds, it can be quite tough. Okay, well that top of descent is coming up. Let's go here and then menu and then VNav. So target vertical speed 723. 2.5 minutes to top of descent. And Delta Romeo Bravo, we need to land on runway 20, please. Delta Romeo Bravo, can you confirm why we are unable to get a runway change?
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, runway changes are not supported at this time. Your flight plan is set for runway 02 at Saldanha Vredenburg.
Right. So is that just not a feature that exists yet in Beyond ATC? I didn't know that. That's what it seems like. I mean, what we can do, they're going to vector us in there for 02. We can just join the pattern, say we have the airfield inside, and then fly to 20. It's not going to make any difference to Beyond ATC. It won't even know. And Delta Romeo Bravo, we are ready for descent.
Vertical track.
Not very busy tonight, eh?
Look, I'm not complaining.
Indeed.
You can't have conversations like this when I'm trying to get descent clear.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, roger. Stay to altitude.
Oh my word. 2,000 feet, Delta Romeo Bravo. We won't be able to do 1.5. We need to stay at the IFR flight level, or IFR
I
altitude.
didn't get that altitude. Say again altitude.
2,000 feet for Delta Romeo Bravo.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo
Oh
Bravo.
my word, it's not gonna work, is it?
Say again altitude.
Cancel altitude change, Delta Romeo Bravo.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, roger. Altitude change request canceled.
I might have to just ignore Beyond ATC. I'm gonna try once more. Delta Romeo Bravo, we are ready for our descent.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, roger. Stay to altitude.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Okay. Cancel altitude change, Delta Romeo Bravo. Right, we'll just ignore Beyond ATC.
Zulu Sierra Delta Romeo Bravo, roger. Altitude change request canceled.
And we'll go for 800. Yeah, I'm gonna get the landing lights on and the taxi lights as well. Yeah, we'll just keep an eye on that because that's gonna bump up above 800 as we pick up speed. And now 820 already. I believe there's actually an offshore like oil rig type thing in the harbor here in Flight Sim. I don't know if that's there for real. Actually, maybe I should look. I would assume it is, otherwise Flight Sim shouldn't have put one there. I'm just looking on Google Maps here. Let's look at satellite data. Yeah, I don't see anything there in real life. So I see this long stretch out here is the like pier jetty, I don't know, what do you call it, really long one. And then that is there. Those two like little islands are there. And I think in Flight Sim in the middle here somewhere, it's like a big oil rig. Actually, let's just do our own little fly out over the bay. We can go and check that out. So I was looking at doing some helicopter missions the other day, and I noticed that as one of the helipads. That's Langewaanweg Air Force Base over there. So I mean, Saldanha is not actually that far from Cape Town. Yeah, we'll fly out over the bay here, check out if there is an oil rig, and then head back in for runway 20. Beyond ATC doesn't care about us anymore, so we'll just do our own thing. There. I can see it already. Okay, can I see Saldanha's runway? Not really, because of the sun. Is it this here? I don't think so. Or is it that? Check at that, there's an oil rig there. This is probably some sort of big refinery. Yeah, I don't think that is there in reality. Let me look again. It really doesn't look like it. And these Google images are from 2026. I guess we could fly a helicopter out to it for fun, why not? There's the helipad on the side. Okay, so I guess we'll do left traffic 20. We're at 1500 feet now. Let's see if we can spot the runway, but we can use our GPS here. We're not far out. 2 miles. Should be able to see it. But we'll use the GPS to... Oh, here it is right here. Jeez. Okay, let's start slowing down. Inertial separator coming in. I'm going to take control. Just sort out that aileron trim. Okay, prop is going to come back to full. Let's get some flaps in. Sort out our elevator trim with the flaps. Okay, we can start this turn. Let's go flaps full, bit more drag.
500.
Yeah, I can feel that crosswind for sure. What a nice aircraft to fly though, my word, it's rock solid. Yeah, we're coming back to the end of the apron here to park. down to low idle. Turns on a dime. Okay, flaps can come up. Welcome to Saldanha. Okay, do we taxi off here? It looks like we do. Okay, landing lights, strobes, transponder. There's a bunch of free parkings on the left there. We'll just take one of those. Well, they're all free actually. There's a bunch on the right here facing the hangars, but I think we'll take one of these here. Let's turn off the taxi lights. Okay, parking brake set. FSEconomy flight is done. Alright, let's switch that off. I guess we can do this after shutting down the battery, so let's switch off the avionics. This can come to off, that can go to trip. Right, and then battery. Oh, what am I doing? You'll be on this side. Right, let's go put the chocks in. And some covers. You can actually see a little bit of wear on the prop. There's some more dirt on the nose. Pitot cover. Okay, I did put chocks on both sides. That rudder lock on. And then I guess from here, oh, we can't click in there from outside. That's fine. We'll put these back and put this in. And then we can close up. One. Oh. Doesn't want to. Yeah, I just want to close the door. Interesting. Okay. We'll leave that as is then. Right, once again, welcome to a beautiful late afternoon in Saldanha. A very chilled flight. Once again, absolutely love the Black Square. Actually, all the Black Square aircraft. But the Caravan is just such an iconic and aircraft and such a workhorse. So it's really, really cool to have a high quality version of that in the sim and earning me money in FSEconomy. But anyway, that's going to bring us to the end of this video. As always, if you made it this far, thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. If you did enjoy it, if you want to follow along, you know what to do down below, and hopefully I see you in the next one.